just like to acknowledge that we are on Mi'kma'ki, the traditional territory of the Mi'kmaq people. I'd also like to acknowledge that the people of African descent have been in Nova Scotia for over 400 years, and we honor and offer gratitude to those ancestors of African descent who have come before us to this land. Just before we start off with the rest of our meeting, I want to correct a wrong from last committee of the whole meeting. Matthew, Director of Finance, called me and we had a good discussion, and I hope I never get to the point where I'm too old that I can't admit I made a mistake. And I did make a mistake. And the way that I talked to Matthew and called him at our last meeting was over the line. That Matthew's not our one employee, that's Tom. And I took it a little too far, and I let my emotions get ahead of me, and that's what I did. And I'm really, really sorry for that. I've given Matthew a personal apology. I'd like to give him a public apology. And Matthew, I'd like to tell you that I'm endeavoring to try and never do that again.
Thank you very much.
Sorry for that, Matthew.
Thank you for being open to talking. You're so open to talking.
Absolutely. Great. Okay. That being said, we have an agenda in front of us. Are there any corrections or additions to the agenda?
I do have one I'd like to add if we can.
Okay.
I don't know if I sent this in time. I request that we just have a discussion around start times for specifically just committee of the whole. Just to see if there might be consideration for a slight amendment in terms of our start time.
Okay, we'll make that J7 start times.
Jake?
J. Anyone have anything else? No? Okay, I'll ask for consensus of that agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Great. All those in favor of that?
Aye.
We have an agenda. Now we have delegations from Dala. Oh, you want to go?
Declaration.
Oh, the declarations of conflicts of interest, that's new too. We have a new format tonight too, so we're trying to work through it. So anyone have any declarations of conflicts of interest that they'd like to state before we go on with our meeting? Okay, hearing none. Now we'll on to our presentation. We have Stephanie Drenay Andrews, who is from DALA. We had a request for a grant from them, and council had some other questions. So we've asked them to come and sort of give us a chat about what they want to do and what they're looking at. So
Okay. Yeah, also introduce Chelsea. I asked Chelsea to come along with me. She's our case manager through our immigration programming. So she deals with newcomers one-on-one and helps them with a various of things. So it could be housing, it could be just getting things for a new apartment, job searching, different things. So she has a much better understanding of kind of the actual effect that this festival has for our newcomers. So basically last year there was an opportunity for funding through the Community Integration Fund through Labor Skills and Immigration. They had actually approached us and let us know that there was some money left over for that fiscal year. So we got it. It was $5,000, and we threw together this multicultural festival very quickly. I'd say it was quite successful for our first year. We were able to include a lot of our clients as vendors. So a lot of them have their own, they bake and they make art and they make jewelry and do henna and do different things like that. So it was really nice to include them in that. We reached out to different community partners. So DARC was a big part of it. The community, what is Nancy? What's her role?
The community health
navigator.
Ren.
Turning the Tide, Ren, JACBA. There was quite a few that helped plan the event. And yeah, I would say there was probably between 150 and 200 attendees. As I said, it was thrown together fairly quickly, but we learned from our mistakes, and we, want to add to it each year. There is a bit of a challenge with funding, so that Community Integration Fund was not available this year. So that's why we haven't proceeded with the planning as of yet, but we still would like to do it. It just might be pushed up a bit further if we can get enough funding for it.
How many people attended that one?
I would say, it's hard to say really.
It's like an estimate, right?
An
'Cause
estimate.
We were busy and we didn't have anything there to keep track of
Yeah.
who all attended, but it was
Probably around 200, I would
popular,
say.
yeah.
Yeah.
And where'd you have that?
It was at the
Marina.
center.
yes.
No,
Like the
the
Marina
Marina
Square.
stage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, in the center, outside. And where did you want to have it this year?
Same place. Yeah.
Yeah, dates yet?
Well, we had a tentative date originally, but we would be looking at more like September, October. Yeah. It's hard because we tried last year when we were planning, we tried not to conflict with other festivals, so that's really challenging. And then with the vendors, because we had a lot of people come from Halifax and across the province, so they're already booked up, like for, so we want to start planning this quite far in advance, but we just didn't want to start planning without the funding, so it makes it really hard in that way, but yeah. So, no date yet.
Council, have any other questions for me?
If I may? Where do your attendees come from? Are they Digby,
Well,
Digby County, all over?
I would say
I would
Digby
say all
County.
over too, but mainly Digby County.
Yeah, but I know like Dolores Gaudette, she's our adult education coordinator from Halifax. She happened to be in the area, so she attended. I know some people from down the shore came, so kind of Digby surrounding areas. And the more, we did quite a bit of research prior to our event, so we looked at the ones in Kentville, Yarmouth, different areas, and, they start small and they grow, so I think if we can continue it and grow it each year and, advertise more and get more people involved, then it will, keep getting bigger each year.
Just a couple questions
Sure.
in terms of the prices and stuff you've got listed over here for us. So if you're going to be downtown, you've got porta potties and hand washing stations
Yes.
on there. Would the facilities that are now downtown not be close enough to be able to,
No.
maybe not for hand washing, but for like the washroom venues?
No, I
No,
think it
we
was
needed them for it was for like the vendors for the food and things.
we needed
I think
separate
Riley
ones.
said we needed
yeah.
at least one or two, and of course as the event grows, then you'll potentially need more.
And we didn't include that in our original budget, so we didn't think that we needed them. And then when Riley Sims got involved, we had to include them.
Same with the hand washing stations.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, they're the same line.
Yeah.
Your table and chair rental, do you rent them from a spot here in town or?
So last year we were able to get them from Dark. However, again, as it grows, we may have to look at renting a couple, because last year we used all of Dark's tables and chairs that were available, so,
I think that was gonna be your suggestion, just
Yeah.
stick to dark. But
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
No, those are.
And a lot of our estimates, are, we budget for it and hope that we don't need to use it, but we have to include that in case
Just in
those
case.
costs come up.
Mr. Lear?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Don't mean to pry on your budgets, but the municipality, did they?
No, so I haven't heard back. There's another one too, which is Events Nova Scotia. So there's a few other grants that I haven't heard back from. Yeah. And we've reached out. So the Events Nova Scotia, they said they have 200 to go through. So they say, cross your fingers. Yeah.
So you have no other funding secured?
We have money in our budget for, that we contribute to the event. We're also going to reach out to local businesses to see if they'd like to sponsor the event and different things like that. I was going to reach out to Jill's office. I've been in communication with NSEC, so they might want to partner up a little bit with it. So, yeah, it's kind of still working on it.
Oh, go ahead.
Did you follow up with the municipality?
Amanda might have. I'll double check on that. Yeah.
Because I talked with the CEO
Mhm.
there, and he has no record of any applications from you guys, so.
Well, neither did the town of Digby, so I might have to
No, and
check.
that's why
Okay.
I bring it up, because it could just. fit
Yeah,
the cracks.
which happens. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
would definitely
Okay.
follow up with that.
I'll do that. Okay.
And this is just a one-day event or two?
It's just a one day.
Anyone else have any questions?
Do you want to see any pictures from it? We brought some pictures from the event, the kind of like brochure that we had made. Yeah, I know some of you attended, so you get to see it in action. Yes.
Well, if we were the only ones to give you some funds for this, would you still be able to go through it?
It wouldn't, no. So we would need some more funding for it.
You're at risk of not being able to do it.
Well, we could definitely do it. It might just not be on the date that we wanted to do it. So we might just have to push it up a little bit further, even if we did it in like April or, once spring hits. I don't know what that looks like as far as if it has to be done within a certain time frame. But we also, like we had a 50-50 last year that's supposed to go to this year's and different things like that and fundraising and whatnot. We feel that it's extremely important for the community and the newcomers in the area. They were really able to showcase. I know.
We've had like a lot of people asking us as well, like if we, if the event's going to be a go this year, are we still going to do it because nobody's seen advertising for
Yeah.
it. So, we'd really like to make it happen. I guess it would just be maybe the show, like the event would have to be condensed a little bit if we weren't able to gain
And the big,
funding. Like we would have to work with that.
The
But
main cost is our entertainment. So that's where the biggest costs come from. We already bought a lot of the stuff that we won't need to buy again this year. So like the signage and different things like that. We're pretty good at managing these types of things. It's not our first time doing it. So if we did get the funding, we would be able to do it. We would just have to focus mainly on the entertainment and maybe see if people would like donate their time a little bit or just reduce the cost and stuff like that.
There was probably going to be an issue with your talent just because the other festivals trying to fill talent is always
Exactly. Yeah.
changing your dates. That's even more difficult for you.
Well, that's
Yeah.
why we thought moving it to the fall would be better, because last year we did have a bit of trouble with that. A lot of people were already committed to the market, so this will kind of avoid that. And all the big festivals have already happened, so we're hoping, we can even attend a couple and try and see if we can get some new talent this year. Yeah.
Okay. So if there's no more questions, I guess I have to ask, what is the will of the committee?
Have a motion to take it to council?
You can, if you wish. You make that motion, Shane?
Yes.
We have a motion to take this to council. Do we have a second?
I'll second
Seconder? All those in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Contrary, Mike? The ayes have it. Take that to council. So I guess
Sounds
we'll send it
good.
to council.
Okay.
That committee is, the actual town council is the one who makes a decision on funding.
Okay.
So we'll talk about it there and see if
Perfect.
it's yes or no.
Okay. Thank you very
Thank
much.
Appreciate it.
It's coming in, guys.
Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry, Chelsea.
And hopefully we will see you there.
Good luck.
Thanks. Good to see you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Moving on in our agenda, we have minutes from previous meeting. Hope you had a chance to look those over, and if you've spotted any problems or changes or anything you'd like to talk about.
Yes, as soon as I find it again.
Councilor Cook, sure, go right ahead.
I lost it.
Wait.
Just, there was one thing that left me hanging there.
Okay.
Okay, yes. Under H2, Mount Street School, minor, but right at the end it says Councillor Foote suggested perhaps. I believe that perhaps was supposed to go up where the earlier perhaps was, the next line up.
Oh, I see.
Very minor, just,
So we could probably delete that last sentence and put perhaps Counselor Foot suggested?
or Councillor Foot suggested perhaps,
Yes.
and get rid of one of the perhapses.
Any other changes? Nope. Okay, hearing none, I'll ask for acceptance of those meetings.
So moved.
Minutes of the meeting,
So moved.
and a second.
Seconded.
All those in favor of those
Aye.
minutes? Aye. Okay.
Aye.
We don't have to vote on those minutes of minutes. Business arising from the minutes, if we had any. I have a couple. Anyone else? Minutes from, business arising from the minutes? Okay, so we move on, we'll move to reports. We'll start with the Director of Finance.
Okay, so you can see in the agenda, it looks like it's moved into 3 separate reports, and that makes more sense really. The first one is just the general information, and then all statement of operations is the second report, and then the capital budget is the third. So the general report, so the capital budget, the draft capital budget's ready for the May 12th meeting that's been set for us to look at. We've done all the adjustments that we've suggested, and we may still have some changes to make it affordable over the long run, and hopefully we can do that. The operating budget, not yet ready for review. We're still putting it together. Interim property tax bills. They've been processed, they've gone out. I'm not sure, maybe new councillors aren't as familiar, but the first bill is meant to be sort of an estimate of 50% of the taxes, and we base it on their new assessment and the prior year's rate, because obviously we don't have the new tax rate yet. We haven't set the budget. And this is the second year in a row now that we've done something new. We've included half of the fire protection rate and half of the garbage rate. So if rates don't change, your spring bill is exactly 50% of your billing, and your fall bill will be the exact same. So this will be our second year in a row of doing that. The Town of Digby Free Budget Roadshow, we were all there, just gave a couple of high-level overviews of where our tax dollars go. I think general success all over for everybody. The West Street and 3rd Avenue development. So if we spend any more than $250,000 with the water utility, the formerly UARB, now the Nova Scotia RAB, needs to approve that spending. So sent in the request, they came back with information requests, those have been responded to, and we now have the approval for the project. And I know I mentioned in here we can now move forward with the RFP for the project manager, and we're hoping we may not need a project manager in discussions with the CAO today, and perhaps do some in-house. Although the grant says it needs a project manager, we're hoping we can do that in-house, and I think maybe Tom can help us with more details later on. He had just had those conversations today with the province. The benefit plan renewal, generally, as we expect, some prices stay the same, some went up. The largest growth or driving health costs is with respect to mental health practitioner usage, particularly clinical counselors. The life and LTD rates are guaranteed until for this year, and then the following 2 years our guarantee drops off. I think we had that guaranteed 3 years in a row, so this is the last year of it, and then it can go up maximum 15%. So investigation of the core certification savings. Councillor Weir was asking about this, so we looked into it to see if we could possibly have some savings with respect to WCB or insurance. So effectively, it's unfortunate, but the core certification won't help us with the WCB. It's called their Practice Incentive Rebate. it wouldn't be available because we're not in the WCB industry classification that is eligible for that rebate.
Worth a shot.
But at least we've looked at it, and same thing with insurance. Our broker wasn't aware. She checked with our insurance underwriters, and they confirmed that there weren't any savings for us there, but certainly worth giving it a look. So the spring debenture coming up very shortly. All the documents are done, they're in. I just wanted to give you just a bit of an overview, because it's been a while since the actual temporary borrowing resolution that's passed by council was done. That was done in July 2024, and that was for 2.6 million. You can see in the left-hand column. So we can only borrow when we have the projects completed. So the fall debenture 2024, they debenture twice a year, so fall and spring. In the fall of 2024, we debentured 278,000. And this year, we had some more projects done, mainly, of course, Mount Street, and we paid for the chassis of the 5-ton plow truck, so we'll be borrowing 1.7 million. And that's all on that one temporary borrowing resolution. So any future borrowing, we'll need to do another temporary borrowing resolution.
So a little less than we thought.
It is, and generally you always want to make sure that our temporary borrowing resolution is on the high side. We don't want to be caught short by that. The limitation is, it's kind of like going to the gas pump. They block your credit card. So if you want to draw from the well at the province, you better not have asked too much in your TBR, because that counts against you. So we do try to make it realistic, but not too little. So the final claim's been submitted for the $1.7 million grant for Mount Street, so we're just waiting for the 10% pullback. And the rental units, as of now, all three are up to date. The residential dwelling is up to date since this report, since I wrote in this report. Other items, one-day VMO evacuation of the town training, list of my number of the staff. And municipalities will be billed for their half of the library costs. Like a lot of the things we share together, the local library is one. We do the record keeping here, pay the rent, pay various bills, and at the end of the year, reconcile it and bill the municipality. And that's it for my regular report.
Can I ask about that? We wonder if we could do some kind of a social media post explaining that 50% cost and what exactly that is, just how you explain it to us. It might be worth Leslie trying to work on something. A lot of newcomers are probably wondering
how is the library funded?
Right. Council, have any other questions for that?
Okay.
Councilor Coe.
The draft 5-year capital budget we have here, it's ready for the review at the May 12th, which we did. Just curious, as we move forward on that, because I'm not sure of what comes next, where do suggestions go for any changes? Is that in our next meeting next week?
We're going to have another specific meeting just for that.
Is that the one next week, is it?
That's going to be ongoing.
Okay, and we'll be discussing that again at that time. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I think I had the wrong date. That is the past date, right?
Any other questions on that? No? Okay.
Okay, so moving on to the next report, statement of operations. It's not a lot to report for the new year because we're so early into the new year and there's no budget to compare it to. So I've just reanalyzed again our year end so we can see where we ended up. As we had not hoped, there's often odd adjustments that come out of the woodwork. In this case, the former clerk's pension plan, which is a defined benefit plan, ended up needing an adjustment of $62,000. That brings it up to a pension liability of $103,000, and of course that $62,000 has to flow through the statement of operations. And we now end up with about a surplus of $46,647. And you can see that on the bottom of the statement of operations on the next page, on the year-to-date actual. So we had hoped to have, $100,000. Now we're going to be, I don't think there's much to be adjusted there. There could be a small little item to come in. That's pretty much our number. So a small surplus, basically on budget. For 5.5 million, 5.6 million, that's on budget, hang on budget. And if there's no questions on that one, I'll move over to the capital. So the next report, capital budget, and that's attached for us to look at. I don't believe there's much changed in there. I think, I'm not sure if I had the Mount Street all allocated out properly last time. So now it is, the Water Commission has its share, the town has its share, both under budget, but of course, not what we had hoped for when we started back in 2020 or 2019, whatever it was. Unless there's any questions, that's it.
The upgrading charges to the Montague Road charging station, is that what we've already done? Or are we gonna change something again?
No, it's all done. Everything's done,
You have questions from that? No. Okay. If there's no questions, then we'll move on to the Director of Public Works report.
So, Force Main Lift Station 3, I was hoping to have the report here tonight for review. But it'll be next month, committee of the whole that'll have it for review for council. Reviewed the draft tender documents for phase 1 of West Street and Third Avenue project. And we ordered the crosswalk buttons for the crosswalk at King and Moore, and they've arrived and been installed. Started working on performance evaluations for the Public Works employees. And we ordered the line paint for all the crosswalks and parking spots. And we also asked the province if they'll paint our center lines for us this year. And we had inspection by Occupational Health and Safety at the Public Works Department and the chlorine building. And we started working on the operating procedures for all of our power tools and equipment at Public Works, which also come out of the inspection. And I think there's 68 of them to do, so it's a very time-consuming process, definitely. Just under streets, we did remove a cherry tree down at Fisherman's Park. This was full of black knot. The culvert at the corner of Lighthouse Road and Cloden Road washed out again. We had to do another repair, and it is in need of replacement. And during the month of April, we did put out another 116 bags of cold batch. The SUV, the recall is still outstanding, and we still don't have the parts for the repair. Under building maintenance, the ramp at the entrance to the food bank has been replaced by Public Works. And the Visitor Information Center, the station, and 3 public bathrooms, they all had a spring cleaning completed. And obviously the bathrooms are open. Under capital project, I already talked about the West Street 3rd Avenue project. And if you look at the transfer station numbers there for April, you can see we've gone back to full-time hours, and the number of clients and HHW drop-off has really gone up a lot since we opened back up full-time. And the Public Works team, we did complete fall arrest confined space in the month of April. And just a couple other things I didn't have there on our report. The painting still hasn't been installed at the Bigview station, but it's on our work list to do, just so in case anybody asks. Yep, perfect. I had a concern brought up by a couple of Public Works employees, and it's about people smoking in the bathrooms downtown. So I've instructed the sign maker to put signs on the doors that say no smoking. Just you have to try something, because they're right, because when you walk in there, it's just, they're small, it's whatever, 8 by 8 inside that building. And one cigarette, we found them on the floor, we found them in the garbage can, so you have to try something to try to keep people from doing it. And the bathroom that was vandalized, That should be back up and running this week, but we may not have the mirror in place because we had to order it, so. And I think the other thing was the gazebos. I think everybody got an email from Leslie on them.
Yeah.
Just gonna go over the prices really quick. So the square, 12 by 12, to do the full project, we're looking at about $20,000. We'll go $5,000 for material, $12,000 for labor, and $3,000 for the earthwork. The 8-sided one, or the octagon one, is $3,500 for material, $14,000 for labor, and $3,000 for the earthwork, for a total of $20,500. And the first one, the total was $20,000. And the 4-legged one, the one from Costco, which is the 12 by 14, it's about $2,700 to purchase it, about $10,000 for labor, and $9,000 for earthwork. It's a little bit more on the earthwork because of the concrete required for the pad. So the first two, if you notice, they're raised, so we'd have to put a ramp on. There's a small ramp. It's only about 12 inches, so that for accessibility. But the third one, where it's going to be a concrete pad, you wouldn't have to worry about anything for accessibility because you would just slide right into it. So
How would that work, Ed? I guess it depends on where you're gonna put it, but now there's a bank and you have to have a set of steps. How do we then make it accessible for people in a wheelchair? Would they have to come all the way down the drive?
they would
All
have,
the way,
down the drive. I think there's a sidewalk there too. They'd have to come down and then come over to it.
Yeah.
100%.
Hmm.
So it's something for you guys to discuss and think about. The plans are there, the email Leslie sent, so, and I think we could, if they think about it, we could discuss it again in the capital budget meeting too. But I think that's fair. What do you think there, Tom? That sound fair? Yeah.
Okay. Just give us the information, that's great.
Yeah. So,
Is there any other questions for the Director of Public Works? Go ahead, Councillor.
Thanks, Chair. Just wanted to bring up a question that somebody messaged me about brush and tree trimming, et cetera, for pickup. What's the kind of size limit or the amount?
yeah, so that's in our policy. So for leaves, we'll take basically anything, but it does have a little caveat in there that if it's collected by a commercial contractor, that we don't take it as their responsibility to remove it. And when it comes to branches and leaves, we'll take a 4 feet wide, 2 feet high, and 10-foot long pile. And anything above that, they'd be responsible to take it away themselves.
You happen to know the policy number of that? I didn't know that, sorry.
Residential solid waste. I can use that.
Residential leaf.
Yeah.
Leaf in yard.
Yard.
Leaves,
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I had two issues. One, tree trimming for signs. Two noticeable ones. The no parking sign on the north side of the post office. It's blocked by the trees. Can't see it. And then there's another one on Prince William, it's 50-kilometer road sign, just across the street from Dr. Black's.
Okay.
Completely covered. I'm sure there's lots more around town, but we're just on that part of the year that leaves are coming out.
Yeah, no problem.
Just be aware.
Anything like that, we can definitely get right away, so.
Yeah,
I know
and
that.
I've had 2 or 3 people ask me when the banners are gonna go up in town.
Some of them will go up, some of them won't. Some of them are in really bad shape. They got that, called that white chalkiness to them, so they're all ripped. But I can get the guys to go through them and get up to the ones that are in good shape. Yeah, we do have some that we purchased in beautification last year for the promenade. So for the spring, I think it was spring, Remembrance Day, Canada Day. That sounds right, I think. Something like that, yeah. So we have some new ones for there too.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Thank you very much for the Director of Public Works. We'll move on to Special Constable and bylaws.
Alright, Protective Services, just gonna touch base on a few points, and if I miss something, ask. CCTV report, RCMP video press for a motor vehicle stop at the freeway intersection, in addition to stunting at the freeway intersection. Parking control, no parking signs been installed at the post office. Parking permit issued to CDC to cover elections. crossing guards. A motor vehicle incident was witnessed by one of the crossing guards while on duty. Guard remained at post and assisted in directing the children and the parents away from the scene. Additional guard gained the scene and assisted in redirecting the public for safety of the children. Guard who witnessed the event gave a full report to RCMP and completed an in-office incident report to have on file. Guard participated in situational debrief and was offered EAP assistance after the event. Vending license, home and lifestyle expo is approved. Farmers market application has also been submitted and now collected as well as of today. Taxi license, letter sent to RCMP giving them clearance to monitor taxi drivers. Solid waste management, a vacant lot. Property was subject to illegal dumping. Search site for evidence, however, could not find no identifying items to locate the owner. The owner of the site is scheduled to clean the area and place barriers along the entrance to prevent future access. 183 King Street actually had a call requesting an inspection of the fire pit. The owner wanted to ensure compliance. Visited the site where we discussed the open fire bylaw and verified the size and design of the pit. Complaints surrounding soft meat floorboards in an apartment. Inspected the home, found the site, recommended to have a fire inspection from the building department due to poor electrical configuration located under the crawl space of the home. Due to the current configuration, I did not feel safe to inspect the floor for rotten compromised floorboards or supports. Tenant was directed to file a complaint with the building department due to the electrical. Owner has been requested to fix the floors under the minimum rental housing use standards bylaw 2015-01 for the town of Digby. And also, the town of Digby had an inquiry regarding film permits for the filming of a TV show covering food and tourism for the town of Digby. Discussion with bylaw requirements covering parking, noise, and marine safety. That's just a few of the highlighted points. That report.
Questions on that report? Councilor Bear?
Nothing against the report. Thank you, Chair.
Hello?
Today,
Hey, who's here? Laura Lee still here?
We are here. We're, it's okay, respectively, we're at council meeting, so if you want to come in and witness the bear part, please come in and have a seat, and please do not disrupt the council. Thank you. Sorry, Councilor Ayers, you were saying?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to bring to attention a couple messages I got. I just wanted to figure out what maybe, I don't really know what to say, but loitering at the mall and Tim Hortons, there seems to be 2 individuals frequently. And one person has been approached. They'll probably contact you, or already have. And I asked them, asked my daughter to send me a picture, because she said someone talked to her just recently. She's 11, and there were those guys as well. So just wondering what's going on, because they seem to sit around there a lot.
Well, respectively, this is the first notice that I've been made mention to about there being an issue in regards to loitering in the area. Respectively, a lot of people don't have anything in this for extended periods of time. If a complaint hasn't been brought to me, I don't know it's an issue with people hanging out at a public space. Honestly, if it's a real concern about health and safety, the RCMP have more leverage than I do as far as, really getting people to listen. I can always go and speak to somebody, but effectively my fines and my enforcement measures pale in comparison to theirs.
Yes.
But however, if this is an issue, again, a little formal process is typically let me know, file a complaint, and then I can investigate from there. But if I don't know, I don't know.
Okay, I will forward them to formally let you know what's going
At
on.
least give me some.
Yes.
I'm just 2 individuals hanging around at Tim Hortons. That could be a lot of people, so I need to
Right.
get a little clarity on what I'm looking for.
Okay, great. I'll let them know about that. The next thing was I had a complaint or a scare kind of thing of Ricky Wright's building was sold, I guess, and they're tearing everything out, and there's a camper there. I guess they're living in it. I don't know anything about that. The neighbors were worried. I'm just bringing it up if you knew anything about it.
I can't say if it's brought to my attention. Again, I'm just getting back from being away at a
Right,
conference,
you weren't
so for the
available.
whole week I've been missing out of DB, which would give a lot of things happen in the town of
She
DB.
contacted the office today.
Okay.
I spoke with her, like, so.
I gave her the number to call here because she couldn't get a hold of the bylaw. Yes.
I mean, by all means, at any time when you have a complaint or concern come through your office, if you don't want to bring it in front of a public council meeting, you can always send it in an email or come to my office and we can certainly discuss. But otherwise, if I don't know, I don't know.
Great, thanks.
No problem.
Okay, any other questions for that report? Go right ahead.
I was just waiting to make sure everybody was.
Nope.
Okay, sorry about that. So, dangerous unsightly, 10 Carlton Street, they have received an additional summary offense ticket for $237.50. From Schedule 16 of the NDA. 53 Ragged Road was determined the sample contained non-fibrous asbestos and was approved to be removed and sent to, I believe I got that right, it was the Arlington Disposal Facility. I apologize if I named the wrong location. The owner has guidelines to follow for safe removal of the material and how to properly dispose. The owner later contacted Bylaw to verify no additional permits were required for the removal of the siding and the demolition of the building. 89 Sydney Street, the owner, they since this has contacted me today and has since removed one vehicle from the front of the yard and another one is en route to be removed either today or tomorrow. And 17 Maiden Lane, the owner contacted me also to let me know that they are selling the home, so the deficiencies with the property will have to be carried over to the new owner as far as I'm aware. Just as something to kind of let you guys know, like, I was out for a week, so I just kind of wanted to go over really quickly, just a quick blurb of a couple things that I covered. We did training on trunk mobile radio use, the benefits of bylaw, legally collecting evidence to support law enforcement, a littering story, which is a historical case that's been ongoing since 2005 and still continues to this day. A mock trial where we got to sit in on legal representatives and undertaking a legal case involving bylaw, mental health injuries, what to do should you find yourself subjected to mental health injuries, motivational training, homelessness and encampments, and a good day of self-defense. There was an elections had it, and I got voted into a board member, certificates and training. So just wanted to kind of throw that in there as a recap since I was away and figured you guys probably want to know what I go away for a week for, so whole bunch of training. So just wanted to kind of tuck that in at the end of the report.
So where are we on Carlton Street? As it
Well,
stands.
we're just trying to, at this stage, find him into compliance unless we get the judge to kind of put something else in place to make the judge, get him to move. I'm at a loss on what my next stage is now, aside from that. I don't think they're gonna wanna pay the fines, they'll skirt around them. It'll end up being a lien on the property, or however the judge wishes to pursue that. That's why I'd like to understand what that means to do a drop dead date by the judge and make the judge enforce that. It's just not a procedure that I've done yet, I'm not sure what that entails, but I'm distinctly getting the impression that my fines are not gonna create motivation in any way, shape, or form. So I'm not sure what to expect out of this, other than keep giving fines and wait and see what happens when we approach the judge with the evidence that I've collected for the non-compliance and see if they have any different recommendations.
Okay. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
We are also continuing with the tax sale.
So that we're paid.
Taxes were not paid full. We have been contacted one of the lien holders who basically given the property owner an amount of money to pay the taxes in full, but he didn't do it. So we're back at that.
What are the timelines for that? That's on.
It's basically, we're following, we have to reset and go back to the timelines. Some of the timelines are already done. They select the notices that need to be set. You know, that we'll have to set a new date.
So do we keep a applying fines in between the time of
Look at
reset?
it. There's one is getting nothing to do with the other. Right. Irregardless, is, so.
How often are those fines applied? Is that a monthly thing or?
The way I understand the bylaw, it could be every day that it's not rectified, classified as a violation. The problem with that is I feel that it's just gonna look horribly bad in court if I was to literally fine this man every day. I gave you the benefit of the doubt of 30-day interval twice. He showed no compliance or no effort to even remotely resolve the issue. My plan is to increase it every 2 weeks now until I start to see something, or if I end up at a point where it becomes every day, at least I've showed my due diligence to try to work with the individual and allow them the time to resolve the issue before I kept adding additional pressure and giving sticker with fines and penalties rather, sorry. Again, I believe that it's a council decision to approach the bench to try to get them to go for a drop dead date. I believe I can recommend it, but I think at the end of the day, it's council decision to request that. Now, I could be wrong, but I believe that's my interpretation of the bylaw. I just don't feel that my small fines are gonna get much movement with this guy, even if I'm to do it every day. They avoid the law, or they appear to feel like they're above it, and I'm not so sure that anything I do right now is gonna make a difference unless we go to the next level in legal enforcement in the court.
Thank you.
Can I speak with regards to unsightly premises?
No, I'm sorry, ma'am, this is
Oh.
not a public participation meeting. Sorry.
It's
You
got
can-
to do
you
with
can
the
talk.
coalition, the
You can
housing
talk.
coalition.
You can talk to us after the meeting if you like. I have a question for you, Laurie. I'd like to say thank you for your diligence on this and keeping on it and making sure that you're doing, it's uncharted waters for everybody.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
We really appreciate your work keeping that on file.
I appreciate the compliment, and I'm certainly learning as I go, but I'm also finding, this is a good learning curve for me, because I'm finding somebody that's not going to comply, and I'm going to find out ways to make them do that.
Absolutely.
So, I
For sure.
won't let it go until it's either resolved or I'm told otherwise.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Move on to the grant coordinators report.
Okay, just some highlights. The Provincial Capital Assistance Program grant was approved by the CAO and put in for the Carlton Street pre-design and design. The Harding Lookoff one, I know that council had approved that. However, that project is not an infrastructure project, which means it's ineligible for the PCAP program. So we'll have to, that won't be moving forward, that application. And I also wrote and submitted the transit grant, so we can get a report done on transit feasibility. Most everything else was, I've spent a lot of time over the last 2 to 3 weeks working on the Alertable app. The ability for us to actually submit an alert, and it will actually show up on Facebook automatically now, which is a great option for us. It's not something we have to double do. So that's a really great thing, but that took a little bit of work. And I'm now moving forward on building our templates. We will be ready to go June 1st. I'm doing their in-session training on Thursday, so I have a Zoom call. They're based out of Alberta, so I have a Zoom call with them. I've got a few questions to ask because Leslie and I have both done their online training, but now we're going to do some in-person training. I've been really impressed with their app. I've been really impressed with their with all their supporting documentation as well. We've got lots of marketing things. So what I hope to do next week is build those templates. Let's also start building so we can start advertising. And I also think it would be a great idea in regards to the expo. As I understand it, staff's not going to be at the expo. It's going to be you gentlemen, so I'll make sure that I'll provide you with lots of information to get people to sign up. We actually have, according to the dashboard we have 109 people signed up, which is interesting because we're not live yet. But that will be coming out next week. We're going to start putting a push on the website. We'll do something on Facebook to say, hey, we're getting ready. We're going to be going live. Sign up. Talk to your friends. We'll also be talking about putting information up for those who want to get the landline calls, because I think that's really what this app is going to be really great for us, is to get those people with landlines to be able to sign up. So that's really important. So that's where a lot of my focus has been lately, other than things I put in my report.
Great. Questions for the rec coordinator? No? Okay, great. Thank you very much, Mr. Hardwick. And finally, we'll end with Chief Administrator's Officer.
Under the development officer, there are 5 development permits issued last month, and 1 zoning confirmation letter was issued. In the NS, I guess, RAB planning appeal matter, between the development approval and Timothy Peckett et al. On Thomas Road. It still continues. The required advertisements for the public hearing has been posted for the hearing to be held at the Digby Fire Hall, July 14th through to the 19th, 2025. And the appellants were responsible for publishing the advertisements. Building inspection. For the previous month, there were 6 building permits issued. I guess it says no fire inspection, but there were 2 fire inspections were conducted last month. One at 100 Victoria Street, deficiencies were found and given 30 days to correct. And at 92 Mount Street, the follow-up inspection and all the deficiencies were corrected. The NSRAB fire inspection appeal, there's an ongoing appeal filed by Fundy Restaurant Limited. The hearing was held on May 28th and 29th, or April, sorry. An on-site visit by the board was conducted on May 8th. The board will be receiving written submissions from the applicant, respondents, and the Office of the Fire Marshal. Once the submissions have been received and reviewed by the board and any rebuttals have been heard, the board will be in a position to render a decision. As you can tell, this appeal take time, take the brutal time.
Yes.
The fire department responded to 10 calls in April, 2 alarm soundings, 1 investigating of the fire, 1 MVC, 1 MVC and pedestrian, 1 mutual aid, structure fire, 1 structure fire, 1 lift assistance, 1 chimney fire, and 1 illegal burn. And town had 4 calls and municipality were 6. Office of the CAO, senior staff attendance at meetings, staff attendance at the committee of the whole meetings, committee meetings and council meetings held outside normal working hours will be at the discretion of the CAO. The staff is required by the CAO to attend for a specific purpose. They are not required to stay for the duration of the meeting. This is to cut back on the amount of time in lieu that is accumulating for attendance to after work hour meetings. Workloads of staff make taking the time in lieu difficult. Town hall security. We have been experiencing security issues more frequently at the town hall. We have taken some action on increasing the security at the town hall for our staff and council members as well. But we are still having security issues and have staff feeling unsafe. Going forward, on the 2nd floor, there will be a locked door installed at the head of the hallway leading to the upstairs office area. We will also be putting locks on the council chambers. All locks installed will have a keypad. All staff and council members will be assigned a code for access. All locks will be coded the same, so your assigned code will give you access to any of the locks in the building. The upstairs exterior door will remain unlocked during business hours and after business hour meeting times to allow for public access to the council chambers and the washrooms.
Do we have, Tom, do we have cameras on the staff parking up here?
No.
Would that be an issue that we should consider in case something happens to staff vehicles?
Wouldn't be a bad idea. It's a point of vulnerability if anybody that's a target gets out of their car and has to
Yes.
walk from point A to point B.
Not only that, but even just if they have, if you know what you drive.
I think we can all remember one night where there was a large group of people that were here, and when we left, we had to walk through that group. We can all sit here and say it's a peaceful town and nobody's gonna do anything out of the way, but the reality is we can't guarantee that. So realistically, security camera surveillance, it's the last valiant attempt to at least protect yourself somewhat. Anyway, in the event something does happen, or it's a deterrent, that people know that it's there, and they might not want to act out accordingly because of that. I always recommend surveillance, unfortunately, in situations like that.
Absolutely, something to think about. Any other questions on that?
Just wanted to add one thing to Tom.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Everything that he just discussed about town hall security,
Yes.
everything has been ordered. So as soon as we have it, it'll all be put in place.
Sounds good.
Okay. This is being done in conjunction with our occupational health and safety committee as well. So,
Just a strange question, Ed, but how does that relate to accessibility? That will be open at certain hours, I guess, when the public is invited, so that shouldn't be an issue?
Shouldn't be an issue, and if for some reason a staff member did have mobility issues, they were at the right height anyway, so they can access the pad, so.
Okay, great. I guess we are looking for a motion to approve all those lovely reports that have been presented for us.
So moved.
I have a second. Second. All in favor of those reports? Aye. Contrary minded? The ayes have it. We have accepted those reports. We have a piece of correspondence from East Hants for NSFM. Is this something I guess we were included on the loop with Kirby Tom?
yeah.
Expressing their displeasure on behalf of their council and the difficulties that they had getting online with the Nova Scotia Community College and how the process seemed overly complicated for them. I know I had my own issues. Are they looking for a response for us to go along with that, or they're just putting it out there?
I think that they just wanted to keep everybody in the loop, and
Okay.
in case other units wanted to jump on the bandwagon, because the more that you talk, or the more letters that we get about it, we look at other alternatives for that. I don't think that was the format. It was just too complicated.
I have an issue too at Sandville. Oh, go ahead, Councilor Wade.
No, after you.
Go ahead.
Good. Thanks, Chair. I just keep getting emails to send my social security.
That's what I was going to mention.
Okay, I
You're not even
messaged
knowing.
Tom about it. Is that real, or what's going on?
It's because it's a tax thing, right?
Yeah.
So if you were a regular student, they would send you a tax receipt for your tuition. But we didn't pay any tuition,
Okay.
so it doesn't apply to us. But it goes out.
Every
When
other
it
day.
first happened, they did send an email saying that it would happen.
Yeah, and that it would happen to,
Yeah.
and to ignore it.
Yeah.
Because this course didn't qualify for it, but it's part of the protocol. So that's why they're getting the emails asking for your social insurance number.
You have my visa.
So I guess, does committee have a will to respond to that?
To the correspondence?
Yeah.
If they are looking for support in any way, I would say yes. because we also had problems. Although I eventually figured it out, it was a roundabout way.
There's some that still haven't figured it out. Because I don't know whether, I think at the NSFM, they actually said that they extended it for another 30 days because of all the issues that they were having.
No, they did say that there was a high percentage of human error, which I can see. I did personally tell the president, Pam Mood, about my experience and how I was going to be signed up for a course to remove petroleum tanks. And she had a good laugh. I said, that's the kind of issues that, I hadn't heard that one. I said, yeah, that was my experience. But we eventually got on. We all got it done. So I think that's the most important part.
And they are aware, the Union of Nova Scotia Municipalities is aware of the issue, so.
So,
You want to hear anything? It's just that we'll move on and break the home.
oh, yeah, we moved on beyond my report. I was just on the town hall security. What we witnessed here tonight is a poor example of what goes on almost a daily basis. And I think I wasn't here Friday, but I understand from staff that same individual came in on Friday and came upstairs. There was nobody upstairs. There was no staff upstairs. Came up and came down with bottles of water and everything else, and just walked there just like she owns the place, right? So that's why the council chamber is going to be locked, and so is the doorway and access to the kitchen, so that this is held secure as well, because everybody is might have something in their desk drawer that could spread their legs and walk away, and so.
I did, thank you for saying to her what you did when she came in. I mean, I think that went a long way too.
I was gonna apologize for just kind of stepping out of bounds and just
No,
that came at the door, but
That's great.
I remember what was said about the last issue, so I figured we'd try to nip it in the bud, so to speak, and get the civil and be respectful. So thankfully.
But when I asked her to say after the meeting and talk, that's fine, but it wasn't public participation.
That's right.
That could have gone much differently.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily it didn't. I'm glad, but yeah.
You're welcome, thank you.
I just would like to add that the security of this building is part of your job, so. Did what you heard.
Keep quoting regulations.
That's clear, boss, I appreciate that.
I've got a report here,
Okay, then I guess we'll acknowledge the correspondence. Now, new business, investigator for municipal code of conduct. I brought that up simply because in the executive meeting, when I went to NSF and had a chat with other municipalities, they had sort of said that they were looking for people that had absolutely no ties whatsoever with council. And I know we had discussed having perhaps Judge Halliburton as our representative, but he is also the chair of our water commission and he serves in some of our other committees as well. So that kind of spurred our discussion, but we did get a list from NSFM for people who were available to take on it. So I kind of wanted to have that discussion and bring that out in the open and discuss what we wanted to do. And Tom, I know, had some suggestions too.
There is the list that AMA, they do an RFP.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? I'm sorry. If you would like to leave, you don't have to stay for the whole meeting if you'd like to. It's up to you.
Prospectively, if council has no future questions for me,
Whoa,
I think you're all great.
Now you're the bodyguard here.
Yeah, we're currently unemployed right now at the town hall, so we gotta wait till
Yes,
after
sir.
hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you
Alan.
very
Thanks,
much.
guys. Have a good night.
So I moved upstairs, I get closer to security.
There you go. Sorry, Tom, go right ahead.
So, anyway, so the only one on that list that we did have to disqualify is Taylor McCollum, Jonathan G. Cumming, because he is our solicitor. town solicitor. And it would be a conflict of interest for him too. Now I do know, having inside information from the village commissions, 3 village commissions on the islands, Westport, Freeport, and Tiverton, are entering into a contract with Mr. Cummings. Right, there is no conflict because he's not their lawyer, but he's more than capable of doing what you need, but unfortunately he's not. So I don't know if where we go from here, other than if council has a favorite in that list or another suggested that we could contact and at least get a proposal from them. Right?
I guess that's mine. I didn't want to leave it until we had maybe some issue and had to deal with it. It's better to ask and have someone ready beforehand.
So, do you mean like, we have to get, like, see how much it's gonna cost from these guys for something, or?
Yeah, well, basically it's gonna cost money, but usually, it depends, whether they're gonna make us pay a retainer, right? My understanding is, that the deal with Jonathan and, the villages was that there will be no retainer. It will just be as needed, right? Which is probably advantageous to any municipal unit, other than large, small municipal units like us. Just to have somebody to call them, and when you call them and the clock starts ticking, right, as opposed to the clock's not, instead of paying a retainer and then you wonder whether you have to get your money's worth. I mean, I hope that we never have to deal with this at all.
No.
Right? Or have unfortunately, they're gonna require us to have an investigation on record.
So can we make a motion to maybe check them all out, see what they all kind of have going on there for prices and retainers?
Well, to go back to what Tom had mentioned for the spots down in the Neck Islands, maybe it makes sense to have a discussion with the municipality or the municipality of Annapolis, and see if they would like to enter into something where we collectively look with them, or we could look at other townships in our area and collectively with them seek to have some, especially if there is going to be the cost of a retainer, because if we're working with another group, then at least that lessens the cost for us. Because it seems like we're likely to end up with somebody out of Halifax, and office space alone is very expensive up there. So somebody picking up the phone is going to cost you $200. Let's imagine how much money you have if you make $200 every time you answer the phone.
She does, doesn't she?
Like Royal Banquet.
Yeah. Hey, just the CEO.
I see there's only one there that's not in the city, that's that gentleman from, or whoever, Birchall McDougall.
Sure.
Charles A. Thompson in Truro.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's a good suggestion, if it's the will of the committee, for Tom to reach out with our other municipal units nearby and see if there's a wish to collaboratively book someone.
Okay.
Is that enough for direction, Tom?
Sorry, I started there at the door.
No.
Okay, we'll move on to J2, NSF conference reporting. I brought that up again as well because I think it's important. I mean, we all went except for William, but I think it's important in the event that only one of us goes, that someone should bring the report back to the rest of the committee to let them know what went on. And just so you know, Will, in light of a report, it was wonderful we had Pam Moon's ear directly for an hour over breakfast. We talked about a lot of issues and she was very helpful. I was able to speak to the Deputy Minister of Like what is department?
Oh, gosh. When you live.
Coastal, just climate change.
Oh, yes. That's right,
And,
the climate change.
we had a little bit of time at the end of the meeting where I brought up our issues with the rail line and I got to speak with him directly at the end of the meeting, which he gave me his card, and I've written a letter now to Tom Leslie after proof and sent to him to try and gain ownership and ability to use that rail line and apply for grants and keep our infrastructure repaired. So it was really, just those two little things were really worth the price of admission, in my opinion.
Oh, big time.
But there was also all the conferences that we had and all the workshops that we had that were all very helpful. And to speak with other people too and talk about issues, and they had solutions for, from stupid little things that you think no one can deal with to major issues that you hear and have no idea that they're dealing with. It's quite impressive. They did a presentation from the district, from Mr. about wind turbines and what they were doing for projects for climate change and that kind of thing. They did a whole presentation. I had a councillor from the city of Halifax say, wow, you guys in little old Digby are doing stuff that we should be doing as a big city. They were really impressed with what
We got to hang out with Terry the whole time too.
Yes.
And it was really good information.
Yeah.
That guy's smart.
Yeah. So I mean, it was really, but it's important that we bring back that information so that everybody can share it and know, sort of what we're doing and what came from that. So that's just the point I wanted to stress.
Good plan.
And so we'll be looking for you, like when you go to FC and to bring us back a report of what we're doing. Yeah. Okay, great.
Keep tabs on that.
Yes, absolutely. And the next one is mine too. Campaign for Inclusion seeking minority candidates, and I shouldn't have said minority. I should have just said any candidate. The discussion happened for me at NSF, and I'm talking about the fact that they have a program to try and include minorities and women to run for municipal office. And there are resources out there, and there are things that they've already tried to do, which we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to decide we're going to do it. So I'd like to have the discussion early, so that we actually, even next year, if we plan to do it, whether it's an open house, a town hall, or come and have a coffee with us if you're even taking remotely of running, ask us questions and figure out what's involved. I think that's something really worthwhile that we should actually put together and promote in our own little town to say, don't wait till the very last minute and then decide not to run. Come out and ask the questions well in advance of any election being called and discuss those issues.
And also, you also said that maybe they can jump on a committee and see what it's like.
Absolutely.
And that's how you can get them.
Yeah. Yeah. If they're that interested, to say, we have committees that, we need people for.
And it's a trial thing.
Sure. Even if we go to the fire hall or Digby Station and just have a coffee and invite people to come, anything, whatever it happens to be, but I kind of like to get that ball rolling so we have something for next year.
I think that's a good idea.
So can we motion that?
Is that just direction to it, or is that
direction?
Might be a little bit of money, I guess, to buy some coffee, but it's not the only thing really.
Yeah, so I guess, sort of cut to draft the campaign, or the program that we're trying to promote.
I'll take that on and work on that and then bring it back. I don't mind doing that.
You got time.
Just, if it is gonna be a thing like meeting at Digby Station or whatever, and a little bit of coffee, that's not a huge expense, just.
Okay. Scallop Shell site discussion and approval, I guess that was Mike's. You want to talk about that one? Did we leave you some information?
Is Mike is away, is he?
Yeah, he was sent regrets for some.
Yeah. I know a little bit about it, if you'd like to know what I know.
Probably know more than I do.
Okay. Or do we just want to defer it until Mayor's back and discuss it at the next town council?
Well, there's so much time anyways for that.
I think that basically, was the site discussion
Yes.
and is the prototype still in his office?
The prototype, I gave it to him the other day. It's ready to hang on the wall. He didn't hang it up downstairs? Okay, so it's probably still in his office. Well, if you'd like to know, just basically, the concept is that this will be a project through the Downtown Business Association, as far as I know. And it's mainly going to be a fundraised project. So the scallop shell itself hopefully won't fall on the town of Digby at all. However, I don't know how much you know about it, but if the scallop shell's 16 feet by 16 feet, the site preparation is going to be fairly major. That's a big unit to catch the wind. And the preferred site is the Tourist Bureau out on Shore Road. And I believe the discussion Mike wanted to have was if the town would look at preparation of the site and construction of the base for this shell. The frame and the shell itself, like I say, will be part of the cost that's hopefully going to be fundraised through grants, through whatever we can do, and hopefully some business fundraising, sponsorship. And I can't really speak to the price at the moment. We're just still trying to figure out the total yet. But the discussion here was, can we approach the town about using that property and in-kind contribution?
You know, through the shell itself is an actual scan of a real scallop shell.
It is. I have the actual shell.
That'd be in the Guinness Book of Records too, he was saying maybe.
It will be the largest one in the world right now, is 11.5 feet in Cornwall, England, and it doesn't even look like a scallop shell. It's a sculpture, but they're calling it scallop shell.
And it will be double-sided, right?
It'll be double-sided. It's made of high-density urethane, which once it's painted and the final coating's put on, could easily last 20 years before it needs to be repainted. If it's cleaned, you don't let anything grow into it.
Right.
If it's cleaned every few years, you get 20 years out of that before it has to be repainted.
Have you considered white marble for the entire thing?
No, why?
Oh, just like, you know, since you mentioned where we're in England, I just figured we'd go for a proper sculpture and get
Well, the thing is, I don't like the sculpture. Look it up. You can tell me if it looks like a scallop shell.
Okay, you know what?
This looks like a scallop shell.
What was the place called again?
Oh, it's bigger than I thought.
This is the prototype. It's 2 feet.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that was painted by Larry Lee, who has also agreed to do the big one. Going to be a little bit of logistics to move that around, but we're working on that.
Which way is it going to aim?
Well, that's
Double-sided.
that side will probably be towards the Tourist Bureau because that's where people are going to get their picture taken the most.
The water will
But
be in the background.
the wording is going to be on both sides.
Good job,
Front and
man.
back.
Yeah, because you're going to want the water in the background, right?
Well, you want people to know when they take a picture and send it to somebody else. We want everybody to know what it is.
Awesome. Yeah, great job.
You drop it, you bought it.
Was that free to acquire, or did you have to pay?
No, I paid for that. That's my. I haven't agreed with Mike on it yet, but I paid for the 3D scan, and that part of it I'm going to contribute. Now the shell itself, the Downtown Digby Business Association is going to pay for the prototype. So far the costs are covered on that.
So I guess what we could do is we could send this to council to approve using the land.
Yeah.
The mayor would be in on the discussion.
Yeah, and I think he was also going to ask for Tom and Ed to be part of the discussion before council actually, so we have the information.
Sure. So I think we can probably table that and move it to,
Oh, you get better pictures than I had of it. I was looking at
move that to council.
That is ugly. It's
Discussion.
Yep. Oh, yeah. No.
Ours is going to look like a scallop shell.
Well, that's the other one?
Art Deco.
Yeah, Mike showed me that. I was like, oh my goodness.
Oh.
And the hope is down the road we can have a sign out on the highway.
just gonna table it until council meeting.
Okay. Is there on the agenda for council?
And
Looks
next
good.
was the Joe Casey Humanitarian Award. And I'm trying to think,
That was to talk about a date, because at the executive meeting, we discussed, Mayor Bartlett was discussing many different options, and then we came to the conclusion we would bring it here. Is my recollection.
and we talked too
Typically,
about the
yes.
location too.
Yeah, typically it's held late June, right here on the promenade. Costs are, I'm gonna give or take around $500 to hold that event. So that's my background.
So we usually have the ceremony down at the waterfront, then everybody comes here for cake, and it's kind of discombobulated a little bit. I don't know why we wouldn't just have it at Digby Station and have it all in one place, or.
Isn't that what they wanted or something?
Yeah, it's kind of what the family wanted and the family's idea, but there's no reason why we couldn't, tell them we'd like to put it in one place and not have to have people.
How big a ceremony are you talking?
There wasn't a lot of people in the 2 or 3 that I've been to, maybe 50 to 60 people at the
Yeah.
most.
Yeah.
And it's awarded for,
There's a nomination for, I forget what criteria.
Person or
it is.
persons who've made significant contributions to the Digby area. I think it says, I'd have to reword that.
the humanitarian part isn't like they're a hero or anything like that. They've just made a contribution to the area in general.
And you don't have to be a philanthropist or anything like that, just a contribution.
So we still want to reach out to them and ask them if the station's okay, or continue on?
Well, we pay the bill and we host the event.
Got it.
In Joe Casey's name as a memorandum, I think. More. Yeah, it's not memoriam.
I wasn't here, or I wasn't here when it started, probably Tom was, but he could probably give you more history on it, but it's always been at the same location for as long as I can recall, is that correct?
Yeah. It's always been down there, that's where the plaque is, so that's where they sit. Right.
The last 2 have been swelteringly hot. And it's a lot of elderly people who come. It'd probably be much more comfortable in the air conditioning at Digby Station.
Yeah, we could always request a winter go, or the person receiving it go down and have a picture taken.
Better parking.
Yeah, after. But I think it does make sense, because you lose about half your crowd going between downtown and coming up here.
Yes.
So I'd say there might have been 20, 25 people up in here last summer. But, yeah, for ease of town staff, and we oftentimes talk about how the staff have a lot to do, and there's a lot of burden on them for various things. Even getting rid of the requirement of setting up chairs and taking everything down afterwards, it's removing a little bit of work from some of the folks that we have working either here or Public Works. So if it makes it just a little bit easier on everybody, I'd say it's a good idea to look at it that way.
I know that moving the date, not that it matters a lot, but I know that Scallop Days, because it was so early that it was announced, Scallop Days, 80% of the time, would use that same person and ask them to be the parade marshal of the Grand Street Parade. But that's neither here nor there. They're actually honoring Murray Trask this year because he's been 30 years involved, so they've asked him to be parade marshal. He reluctantly agreed. But I guess we're looking for a date, Leslie?
Yeah, that would be great, because then we can coordinate with the family. They have some family that come from Ontario that try to come for the event too.
No, if that's still, they would like it somewhere in the summer, I'm assuming?
Oh, I would assume, yeah. Typically, we hold it around June, mid-June, so.
Okay.
I'm just gonna throw in a couple dates. Maybe 19th, 26th, a Thursday. Any of those?
Did you say June?
Yep.
19th?
26th?
So it's gonna be in the week then.
Yeah, it's usually around, I think, 1 o'clock or so.
19th, I've got a library meeting, not to say it has to change because of me.
I'm good on the 19th, not on the 26th.
When is the lobster bash in here? The end of June?
usually.
Is it earlier?
July, it's after, always after campaign.
Is it?
Usually, always after campaign. Is it to-
I think last year, actually, this year is the 5th and 6th.
4th, 5th, and 6th.
Yeah, or 7, 6, probably. They're close together, Canada Day.
Would the 26th work?
26th works for me, but not for Councilor Wood.
And what's your other engagement, Shane?
Mine work.
Just work?
Yeah.
But if it was at lunch hour, could you do it?
I can ask. I'm new there.
It's like I just got lost, I didn't know where it was.
Not that new.
How long does the ceremony take? About half an hour to an hour?
Mayor
One
usually
thing
says
is
a few
start
words.
10,
So
is it 11 and we're done?
Is it 11 or 1?
it was one last year, I think. It was later.
Yeah, it was in the afternoon.
That's
Well, it was after lunch, why do we feed them?
Because they don't eat lunch, they want free one.
I'm just saying, you know.
That's a good point.
I was sure these are recorded.
Make everybody look black.
Yeah.
On camera.
Last year we held it Friday, June 21st at 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. Yeah.
So,
Well, can we tentatively say the 26th at 1?
Sure. Can do whatever you want.
And we'll go from there?
Yep.
sounds good.
Does that sound all right to everyone? 26, 1 p.m. Okay,
Thank you.
you're very welcome. Digby Home Expo. We have agreed to put in a booth, and we are looking for counselors to staff the event for us. We don't want to tax staff any more than we have to already, but Leslie and Rob have graciously offered to set up the booth. Although I don't think we're going to be able to use the tent, are we, Rob?
Okay, so, I was off last week.
Oh,
I got told today
Yep.
that you didn't want the tent.
Well, it's not that we didn't want it. We didn't know if we would have space or where we would be in the floor plan that would actually work. If we were just going to get a little 10-foot.
Which is exactly our tent, which is
Okay.
10 by 10. So, okay, so I'm just gonna fill you in on some information because my boss is smart and he told me to look into this.
Okay.
Because nobody's read the fine print and nobody's looked into this event yet.
Right.
Even though staff isn't supposed to be all that involved, I looked into this. We missed the date. Friday was the date to pay for it. So we've missed the date already.
Oh,
To pay for it. I contacted Rick Allwright. He has graciously given us this week to do it. So, past that first hurdle. I'm gonna put my name on the contact, because if we put the mayor's name on the contact, we'll never see any invoices.
Yeah.
They want to know what is going to be displayed at the booth, so in our sign-up sheet, you folks have to tell me what you're going to display at the booth. I already know where I feel like you should be promoting Alertable, but I don't know anything else of what you wanna do, so I need that information.
we had a discussion in executive, and we thought perhaps if we had power, we would be able to display on a monitor the alertables information video that they sent out, as well as, we've had other stuff in the past that Leslie's graciously supplied to us, whether the videos for town, or they were, whatever we were doing, or there's lots of stuff that we can pull from.
Yeah, he said with power, just, most people get power but bring extension cords.
Okay.
Because it's gonna be in the middle of an ice rink, so you're gonna have to run it somewhere. I just wasn't sure what else besides Alertable you folks wanted to.
I think as long as we had, and we talked about it, I don't want to speak for everybody, but the calendars for the waste check, information for bylaws for unsightly, all the sort of, a lot of the stuff's up there on the table and probably now.
Okay.
That sort of thing.
Maybe some cards, everybody's.
Contact card.
Okay, good. All right, just because it has to go on has to be approved on the thing.
Will we have our poster by then, or will it? Or did we order that, or did we not?
I'm still working on it.
They provide one table and two chairs. It is a 10 by 10. He did tell me that the tent has to be fire rated, so he is expecting tents. Our tent is fire rated, so it's up to you folks.
We can
That would be
want to
there.
use that. Absolutely.
I am a nice enough guy that I said I would come and set it up because I'm one of the individuals that knows how to set it up.
And the mayor and I said that you shouldn't be doing that alone, and we would help you.
Well, I need one person because I actually can't do it because the darn thing's too heavy. When you get the lid on, you actually need a 2-person push.
When will you be setting it up?
So he gave me time, setup time is anywhere Friday between 10 and 7. It actually has to be inspected at 9 a.m. the next morning.
That's Friday at.
Friday between 10 and 7. So
Friday the 6th, isn't it?
Yes.
June?
Yeah.
Yes. So 1 or 2 people to help, that way I don't have to, because I was gonna get somebody from Public Works, but if one of you folks show up, I have designed how to put it together and I've marked all the pieces, so it's literally J1 goes into J1 and P1 goes into P1, so it's all already done.
If it's in the afternoon, I can help you set that up.
I'll let you folks decide, I don't care what time.
Yeah.
I think when we put this tent up outside, it's gonna be about 2 hours. Inside, maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours at the most. Outside in the wind, it's gonna be a little different. They are expecting us to provide a door prize, so you folks need to decide on what a door prize is going to be.
It's called show.
And I need to tell them what the door prize is gonna be. I can say, we haven't decided yet, but you need to come up with a door prize. And tear down is right after the show, Sunday at 4. I don't have a problem coming back into town and tearing it down because this tent needs to go back.
The show itself is Saturday and Sunday all day, both days?
Yes, so the show itself is 10 to 6 and 10 to 4, I wanna say. Hang on, I've got another email from here, so.
And I think the other thing was who was gonna work, who was gonna attend. Yeah, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
So the mayor stays the whole time, and then we just juggle in and out the councilors.
That sounds pretty good.
We're just gonna ask where a mayor is anyway.
So Saturday is 10 to 6, Sunday is 10 to 4. So I will come back down at 4 o'clock on Sunday and help tear down. Because I've designed a way for it to all kind of go together and we want to keep it like that. We're keeping it downstairs at Town Hall. And hopefully I'll have a truck and I'll be able to do that, so I'll give you a hand for doing that, so.
Is everybody available for those 2 days?
I'd have to take an earlier shift on Saturday.
Okay.
Commitment at 6 o'clock on Saturday.
So we'll put you down for Saturday morning.
Sure.
I can go for Saturday morning too.
Baker.
I can go for Saturday morning as well.
Okay.
And then switch over to the noon, and then the next day we'll do the same kind of thing?
We're doing 10 to 6. We probably say
10 to 6, so 10 to 12, and then 12 to 6 is a little, 12 to 6 is quite long to be there.
Yeah, I'd say 10 to 2 and then 2 to 6. Does that sound
Yeah.
more reasonable? I mean, I do like the idea of 10 to 12 and you guys taking the 6 hours.
Yeah. I'm feeling that,
Less amenable?
well, no, I'm just feeling like this is gonna be a lot of hours
Mm-hmm.
standing around. That's a lot of hours for a show on the kind of show this is.
So then we'll go noon hour the next day, Councilor Will? Or?
The next day is 10 to 4, so we do 10 to 1 most likely. Although we can open up the morning for somebody else that day if they want it.
Whatever. I'm good for both days either way, so. Just shoot the email and I'll be there.
Okay, so just for the meeting minutes, so, sorry, 10 to 2 on Saturday will be
Shane and William.
And 2 to 6 will be.
Mike and Paul.
Okay.
Okay, and then Sunday, 10 to 1.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Shane and William again.
And one to 4.
What was the one for Sunday?
10 to 1 and 1 to 4.
And then, Rick, do you want to do Sunday?
I'll do whatever I can help out with there. Okay. 1 to 4.
1 to 4 will be Rick and
Or Mike. Mike will float around too much.
Imagine Mike's probably wanna stay the whole time.
Yeah, I'm sure on Saturday if you want to pop in just to be a third person.
Yeah.
it's good to have another person so you can run again.
Yeah, that's what I said, I'll be in on Saturday afternoon.
Okay. Okay, so it'll be the 3 to Saturday.
Well, yeah, that's cool.
And a door price. Do you have an idea for a door price?
I think
It just depends on the desk.
I'll do that scope. Okay. Found the big stuff.
This pen, it's right here.
Deputy has a 3D machine. Don't you?
3D printing, silk screen.
So you get it all, you get a bag of stuff.
Okay, so I'll put it together and I'll get it done up this week and get it all to him, because like I said, he graciously allowed us to be late.
Sorry, when was I coming in Sunday? Sorry about that. That's right.
10 to 1.
10 and 1.
Okay, 10. Thanks.
Leslie, could you circulate that as we get closer to
I will.
it? Make sure we,
Yeah, yeah.
we know what we're doing.
I don't have that here, I'm screwed.
All right, that's that. Now, legal in camera.
No,
Nope.
Oh, J7.
Only J7. Start times.
Yeah, well, I think essentially, I guess I have the ask that we consider moving the start time for committee of the whole to maybe 5:30, just push it back a little bit. I know that there's discussion around, we want to limit the time that we're having staff here extra, but just, I know for myself, challenged a lot of days to get up here on time. For some of our other meetings, the ones that start at 5 o'clock, I'm not as worried about it if it's like a policy review meeting, but for council and committee of the whole, I do prefer if I can be here on time, and a little less of a guarantee of being here on time when we start at 5 o'clock versus if we started at, say, 5:30. So I'm wondering if council would consider that move back, and maybe we should all just submit, what would work or wouldn't work for us with respect to that. And once again, try to be cognizant of, Leslie and Grant or Rod, whoever he goes by, and then all the other staff as well.
is that in the policy they just adopted though, the time?
Not for committee.
Okay, thank you.
The time is in the policy for council. Council is at 6 o'clock. There was no time put in for committee of the whole.
Yeah, because I think we agreed we'd try this sort of as a trial to see what would work, but, for me, just create that small separation between work and, will that work, and then coming up here, especially on the nights where the meetings are longer, it's just a little bit easier on the mind and body if we can get just a 15-minute break in between.
I know that I find that days like today, where we have the water commission, I basically had enough time to stop at lunchtime to get a sandwich at home and then rush back here again. I had another sandwich before I came here. Yeah, it's quite tough.
Yeah, for me, I can't have supper with my family or anything either. And I find I'm eating earlier, and then I get home starving at night. I eat before I go to bed almost. This is my opinion at this point.
So could I suggest maybe, if Leslie, would you do a straw poll? And see what people's preference are and the majority of opinion?
You mean 5 or 5:30 or 6? Is that what we're at? Okay.
I think, like I say, if we keep juggling numbers, people are gonna get confused on showing up as well.
Yep.
We're pretty standard at 6. I like it better, but that's just because of family for me. And work, of course, now that I'm working.
I'm hesitant to make a decision tonight without the mayor being here.
I agree with that.
For sure,
Yeah, I agree.
100%.
And we still have to consider the fact that the change was made so that staff
Yeah.
were accommodated, so.
So it sounds like 5:30 is the compromise, but
Yeah.
that's just.
Staff hours are generally run till 5 on these days. At what time?
4:30.
4:30.
So this is a little
But
less.
the issue is for staff at 5 o'clock, there is an issue there as well. Because basically, nobody has time to go get anything to eat, staff-wise either, to be truthful.
We didn't get it today, so almost 4:30.
No, you guys don't shut down 4:30. You're at 5 almost shut down here.
And, it depends on the day, so basically it's, run down, get a slice of pizza or supper, and that's about it.
Might not be your first choice.
Yeah.
So 5:30 may work better for staff, by the sound of it.
Well, it could work better for staff, I'm not opposed to going back to 6, personally.
Me either.
Leslie, Rob, either of them?
No. No, spit it out.
I just find it's long. I find if we start at 6 and we go till 9:30 or 10 o'clock, it's late, it's long for us.
I think
Because
you
we've
gotta
been
start.
here since 8 o'clock, I start at 8 in the morning.
Yeah, these reports don't need to be read out either, I would think. We don't need to read it all that we're reading it
Well, you
already.
see, and that's part and parcel to what I've put in my report, about staff being at my discretion. Whether you need them there or not. The reports are the reports.
No, they
Yeah,
don't.
and if it's something straightforward, I assume you'd probably say to them, as long as you submit the report, it's on us to read it.
I think so.
And, sometimes it might be just as easy for us to say, okay, well, Tom, I've got this one question about, this in the finance director's report, could you take it back to them? And
Right. We're not supposed to be talking to them anyway here, we're supposed to be directing the chair as we're here anyway. I know we do, and it's all right, but
I think that in 9 times out of 10, if you had a question for any of them, Tom would probably answer it.
yeah, well, I mean, if we really need it, we could ask them to come to one, right?
Well, the thing is, like budget presentations, yes, the
Yeah.
ones that
Yeah.
need to be here
That's
will
right.
be here.
Yeah.
Like, that's,
Yeah.
but just to, or if the certain items that, council or the committee needs input, staff input from, you need the director of public works because you're trying to make a decision on something that affects public works. And you need that opinion or questions come up, that can be arranged, and then once he's dealt with that issue, we're free to go, right? We don't have to sit here for the whole meeting.
Right.
And
Could you, I'm sorry, could you then, at the end of that report section, here it was H, staff reports, could you have a little comment in our agenda, that opportunity for staff to leave, like you did tonight, so that they know that, okay, I'm gonna be here when my report's done, I'm out, and we just make sure that we don't forget that?
I think that was part of your thinking too, when you moved all their reports up before yours.
Yeah.
So that basically, when the report section is done, if they're here for a report, and the thing is, like I said, they do a written report, and, well, it's submitted in the package, council should be reading the reports.
Right.
And if they've got questions, then, especially, if you get a question and you get it to me, you can ask me, email me or whatever, I've got a question about this and this, I can find the answer for you for that next meeting.
Yeah.
Right? Or if it's something more complicated, I can say, okay, I need Laura Lee here because there's a question about one of her files, right? That, you might as well hear it from the horse's mouth instead of the horse's ass. So, right?
That's pretty easy to do.
So that's basically, I know that, I mean, as far as time, starting at the meeting, 5:30 is fine, that can give me plenty of time to get something to eat. But it's like, I had one of my staff members ask me, well, do I have time to go get something to eat? And I says, well, if you want to leave at 4 o'clock so you can go get your thing, you gotta do it because you'll be coming back, right? So,
4:30, 5:30 would allow an hour, and we still get Leslie home half hour earlier.
I think if we get home earlier, we just say what Tom's saying, just let us read the report, we don't need them here at all. Doesn't make any sense to me, it's a waste of time.
We have reports and plenty of time to make sure you read them if you have any questions.
Right.
I mean, the biggest thing is, that are being recorded and that, it's like, when you have a report, the audience, whether they're sitting here or out there in TV land, they don't,
No visual aid.
there's no visual aid, they don't know what's in the report, right?
And we do have questions that come up,
Yes.
especially for Laura Lee. I notice almost every time there's some kind of question for her.
Yeah.
So it's hard to,
A lot of times, Laura Lee's reports are a good example. I will read her report and then I'll actually, Sunday afternoon, go for a drive and see what she was talking about.
I look on the maps,
Because you say tank problem, which one's that, you know?
Yeah. Well, I don't know, just say which one's that.
That one. Yeah, that was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
I almost feel like I have to ask some questions just because they're here. You know what I mean? Because I feel bad almost.
And that's, there's no problem with that. It's just that, them being here isn't the problem.
Nope.
It's trying to make it so that it's convenient, a little bit more convenient for them, and, and get them in, and get them out, so, I mean, that's not saying that if they wanna sit through the whole meeting, they can sit through the whole
Yes.
meeting, right? It's an open meeting. And, but the thing is that,
We'll never have any crowd here though, so time, at that time, 5 for sure, because everyone's home eating. You know what I mean? It's not giving anybody a chance, I've already heard it. That's just another thing I thought.
Well, they can always watch the recordings. They're available for everybody to be able to watch afterwards. And generally, we don't want a question and answer between the audience and what we're doing, because it takes us off what our agenda is. It's for public to come and witness, and then if they have questions, definitely follow up with us. But it's not meant to be a question and answer. So whether they're here in person or watching online afterwards, I mean, it's about the same. And we encourage their questions and feedback after meetings are done.
Remember last mayor saying, and he was absolutely right, you will go from meeting after meeting after meeting, whether it's sole attending, and then you get one issue, and it'll be packed. And it's the only thing that anybody cares about. But any other time, they couldn't care less.
Until they throw it in your face, that we can't show up here at a certain time because,
Yep.
and that's what happens as well.
But that argument doesn't hold a lot of water, because there's someone somewhere who always had a problem with time, you know? You can't please everyone.
No, I just think, I think every time we got a meeting at 6 o'clock on my mind every time, you know what I mean? Because it's how it was. And I don't stray from it much, but now we kind of jump around. This is my opinion.
I guess you mentioned earlier, we wanted to see what the mayor had to say about this. So maybe, would that be going to council for the next council meeting?
Yeah.
To be able to discuss and make a decision at that time?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Let's skip it over.
So no doodle we'll just bring it forward to.
I think that's easier, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, might as well.
Bring it,
Yeah.
right. Bring it up,
That's our consensus. That sounds good. Yeah. Okay, now we have to go in camera.
Motion to go in camera.
Do you want me to shut the door?
Yeah, sure. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. We are in camera.
Adjourn?
No, Tom, you need direction. So you can get a price on
we
it.
got that one.
You got it?
Yeah.
We don't need to.
The motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're adjourned.